All right.
Hey, Stephen, do an
Hello.
introduction. Yeah, so I'm James Wilkinson here with Sync Mist doing an artist interview with Stephen Heger. How do you pronounce your last name?
Yeah, you got it right. It's
Yeah,
Hager.
okay. Yeah, so Stephen's done several projects with Sync Mist, done a lot of coloring, written some work, and illustrated some work for the recent September Suns. He runs a comic book shop in Oregon, and you can tell me about your shop. What's the name of the shop and where's it located?
It's Cosmic Monkey Comics, and located at 5335 Northeast Sandy Boulevard in Portland. I'm just now coming out. I'm taking the place of an owner that's left, and so I'm just my friend Andy Johnson, who I've known for I think like 20, 25 years around in there. Um, we worked it out, and so going to be doing that. Right now, I'm technically laid off because I hadn't bought into the business, so I'm donating a little bit of time there. So yeah,
Yeah, cool. So is that was your main comic book store before you became owner partner?
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually used to get my comics from Andy when he would order from Diamond Comic Distributors, and he would actually have them sent to his house. I mean, he had basically set up a comic book shop out of his garage.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and he had done a lot of conventions and everything like that. So he knows a lot of people. He's a really, really, really great guy.
Yeah, that's really cool. Local shops are nice. It's still nice to be able to. I know a lot of things have gone digital, or direct order even, to your home, but it's nice to have a place you can go and hold something in your hand. There's a local shop here that I started buying comics off the shelf again maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I missed it
Hmm.
so much. It'd been years since I'd been in a shop, and
Yeah.
actually being able to walk in the door and pick something up and talk to the owner. Yeah, it's a different experience. So
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
It's same with like a used record shops or anything like that, to where you can flip through something and not even know about something, and then find out about something completely new. Where I don't think you get that online.
you really
Um,
don't know. And then the
no.
the owner, I mean, you have a pretty vast knowledge of at least the ones I know that you've mentioned being interested in, about the artist and the history and different things. That's something you don't get from just browsing unless you're willing to read for hours searching. But you walk
Yeah.
into a shop and the owner knows about the artist, he knows his favorites, he knows what he's kept in stock because of his customers, and yeah, it's pretty amazing. So
Yeah, yeah, and it's also nice because our customers will go ahead and you know give us suggestions and everything. Like, hey, I don't know if you've read this, so it kind of works both ways, which is kind of cool. And then you can kind of pass that on again. You get it from a customer, you take it, then you can hand it back out to customers again.
sure. So
So cool.
what are some of your favorites right now? What are you reading?
Oh, yeah, right now I'm actually reading a bunch of old stuff. I just found out about an old artist named I can't remember his first name. But his last name is Giovanni, and he did a thing called Hungarian Rhapsody. I'm getting a little bit more into some of the European artists. There's another guy named Ranson. I can't remember his first name either, but he did a lot of stuff for 2000 AD.
Okay.
Yeah, just really, really gorgeous. The line work and everything. It's got a really good 70s aesthetic to it. And I read trash horror. It doesn't matter. All the just bad things from like House of Secrets, all kinds of stuff like that from the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Just bad horror is just a blast. Um, as far as new stuff, there's Finger Guns. That was a fun read. Strange Adventures. God, I'm forgetting so many. There's so much. That's one thing I noticed when I was growing up. We kind of had superhero stuff and a little bit of like black and white stuff that was kind of like burgeoning. Now in the comics that are out there, there is so much diversity, so much cool art, so many cool writers, so many different concepts that even if you never wanted to read a superhero comic, you could still not read everything that was coming out. I mean, there's so much good stuff coming out there. It's a great time. I mean, it really, really is. There's so much cool stuff.
Yeah, and there's a lot of indie or independent stuff and Kickstarter things, and
Oh
there's some.
yeah.
Yeah. So do you carry any local artists in your store?
Oh yeah. Portland, if you throw a stick, you'll hit an artist that's published, and it will ricochet off of two writers, and then land on an inker. We actually have Dark Horse Comics that publish out of here, Image Comics. Who else? Floating World, which is a comic book store, but they do some independent publishing. We've got Oni Press here, and we got so many creators that live here. Brian Michael Bendis, Brandon Graham, Justin Zimmerman, who does a brave was it a Brave New World? No, wait. Yeah,
Yeah.
he publishes out here. I mean, there's just so many. It's really crazy. I mean, we get people that come in and we're like, "Oh, cool, your new issue came out. You mind signing a few copies?" And then we'll throw them up onto the rack for people to go ahead and buy. David Walker is another one that uh, lives out here. That's just and they're all great. All the creators are so awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. And it's nice that they're there. I'll be glad when the world kind of opens back up so you can make that contact again. So,
Yeah,
Giovanni, you mentioned, is he Italian? I think you mentioned him to me recently, and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
one of the on the Sync Mist Facebook page, I know there was someone that had mentioned his work in comparison to some of the things that we had posted last summer, and that was really how I discovered him. I'd never heard of him before then either. So it's interesting how someone like that has a lot of work in a different market than you're currently focused on, and then you discover someone and there's a whole new world to just it just opens up. And so yeah, I like his work too. Um, but yeah, you're in a great place. So it's a real art community, it seems like, and so is here. I live in Minneapolis, so there's a real art community here too. And I think a lot of local stuff maybe does as well as any of the big names. That's why I had asked about that. They have their own section in several stores here, so it's nice to have that community. I have a couple of your comics that you sent me
Yeah.
last summer. Are you still working on the how do you say it, Gomalco?
No, not right now. The artist, haven't talked with him for a little while. I mean, this whole thing has just kind of made everything weird. He's gone incommunicado, and then there was a little bit of a problem with him not liking this last script I did. So we just kind of let everything set it off to the side for right now. Well, I'm sure we will eventually get back to it, but it's just a vanity project. Well, a fun thing. I mean, I think it's just a blast to just come up with just crazy concepts
Yeah,
and stuff like that. So
it's really cool. The pet that the boy loves that becomes everyone's worst fear and then
yeah,
becomes his hero in a way. The artwork, real jumpy, sketchy, colorful. I had these sitting on the dining room table, and my wife picked them up, and she says she doesn't read. She doesn't even read a lot of the stuff I do. There's too many words or too many pages or something. So when she saw these, she goes, "Oh, I would read that. That looks so fun." So everyone has their own taste, but I don't know if that shows up well enough, but it's yeah, just really quick and a lot of color, but it was a very fun story too, very easy read, and I enjoyed those too. Um, so you did. I took some notes off of the September Suns. I guess I kind of forgot how much you actually worked on with that, but you did. I don't feel attached to this world anymore. You colored Katyusha. You colored when I look at these photographs, and you did the full thing of Wilted Petals and the Spider and Hell is War and something else on there, but JB. But the Wilted Petals and the Spider, those are wonderful. Your watercolors on that were wonderful. Are those a couple that you sent out? Are those a couple of the watercolors that you sent out with the Kickstarter?
no, the watercolors actually went from the 4-page story that I did.
Okay, time.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, those watercolors are here, but I had Fred had sent me a couple of the poems that those were attached to,
Okay.
and just kind of gave me a carte blanche to go ahead and do whatever I felt like doing. And so those are the ones that came up. I love doing watercolor.
Yeah.
Watercolor's so much fun.
Well, that's how I found you with Werewolf Supernova.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so if anybody's watching this, Werewolf Supernova was a Facebook page by a guy named Damon that just collected a bunch of artists and threw them in a page without anyone asking to be a member. And he named it Werewolf Supernova, but you weren't even a member. It was just named after a piece of work that you had done. And
yeah,
so, yeah, I did a search for it, and it's a amazing watercolor, and that's where I found your watercolor. And some of that really bold, big pieces of contrasting color. It's amazing. I'd never seen anyone do watercolor like that, and it's just so much fun. So I don't know what, just kind of making contact with you over a year or two, and then you became a large part of that last comic print. So pretty amazing. In time, that fit perfect with the theme. Um, and then again, if no one knows what we're talking about, September Suns was a comic print that Stephen did a lot of work on last summer. And I actually don't even have a copy in front of me. I have the PDF. Um,
oh wow,
yeah, my watercolor is in Arkansas somewhere. So here's, I don't know if you can see the screenshot, but on my end, here's I'm showing the spider and the leaves here, the wilted petals. Um, I believe time is way down at the bottom of this thing.
yeah. I think that's towards the end of the book.
Yeah. Were you able to read through the whole comic? Did you read the whole thing?
Oh yeah, yeah,
It was kind of nice. It seemed like with the different stories and the different writers, mostly Fred, of course, it it gave me a feel that it was all the same person. You know, eventually you get to the point where it just feels like it's all the experience of the same person, and that was pretty interesting to be able to read through all those and piece it together and feel like it was either a common person's experience or it was just simply a human experience. You know,
yeah.
yeah. So as far as I think I talked about the main things. Is there anything that you're working on currently? I mean, that you want to talk about?
Well, actually, what I'm trying to do is I want to take some of my stories that I've done that are just regular prose stories, and kind of either do like a chapbook to where you do 2 pages of actual written stuff, and then an illustrated page, and then another 2 pages of prose, and then do that. There's one I have that's called the Coffin that I really want to do that on, and some of these are in. I also wrote 2 books. And self publish those. And the coffin is in the second one. And then I did another story about a monster visiting a kid under the bed that I would really, really like to see adapted. And I want to start working that into from the story into doing a script for it and everything, because that's a good tale of revenge from a kid to do that. And uh, a monster that's not really, really good at his job. So
Yeah,
yeah, I thought it was fun. It was something that just started coming to me, and I was trying to keep it at a really, really kids kind of thing. And then it went really, really south when the monster actually took a severed head of another child and stuck it out from underneath the bed and was trying to coax the kid down with that. So it's just like, yeah, the whole kid thing just went out the window.
yeah. That's something
But
I'm. Yeah, that it sounds like a great read, and I know that I don't believe I have a copy of your book. At one time, I had asked you about it to purchase it, but I'll have to get at least one of them to read to kind of be familiar with. I'll put a link to all this on the website for anyone else who's interested. But I've seen a lot of your cards that you do. Do you collect cards as well as make cards?
oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a I'm a huge geek. I collect comics. I collect a lot of '70s pop culture memorabilia from when I was growing up as a kid. Um, comics, games. I loved like trucker games, like 10-4 Good Buddy from like the 70s and stuff. And I we don't have a whole lot of money, so I buy a lot of my stuff secondhand, and therein is also the thrill of the chase too.
Yeah.
It all goes back into just the whole collecting thing, and I just really love doing it. But yeah, as far as the cards, I make them because a lot of the movies and the bands that I like don't have that stuff because it's not really popular. In fact, I just recently saw a movie, and I'm going to give it a good plug. It's called Tonight She Comes, and it's by a guy named Matt Stewart. It's one of the most over the top, grisly, what the hell is going on type of movies I've seen in years. And it's such a low budget and got such bad reviews. I was able to actually just start getting into a conversation with the director, and I just had to tell him how awesome it was, and that's another cool thing is to be able to go ahead and do that. I
Yeah.
mean, in this day and age, to where I can contact the director of a movie I saw that he made it in 2018, and I can say, "Dude, good job," and he's like, "Oh man, great! Somebody actually watched it." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's so yeah. I find that incredible. I love meeting creative types, and no matter what, musicians, artists, writers, performance artists, whatever.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's one thing that one of the good things that's come from the internet and social media is being able to reach people that and let them know that the work they've done has been inspirational, and or that you enjoyed it. If nothing else, it was fun. That's one good thing that's come from social media. I took a break here recently to do some work because I get online and I get so distracted. There's so many different directions you can go with it. How do you stay focused? I mean, how do you stay focused on a project?
I just muscle my way through it. When I can stay focused, because I have that same problem. Sorry, I have to plug my phone in.
Or
It's starting to die. I have that same problem. So uh, just knowing that I want to get to the end of it, and depending on how much I've got going, sometimes I can't wait to be done with something and then just move past it and then get on with the next thing without trying to take a break. Just because if you don't move at that pace, I mean, keep that pace, sometimes it seems like you can't get back there. So I don't know. The only thing you do is focus. I mean, that's
yeah.
about it. And you can either do it. I mean, I look at somebody like Jack Kirby. He was doing like what 4 titles in the mid '60s.
Yeah.
That he was drawing. I don't even know how you do that. I can't even do one comic in 6 months, let alone 4 inside of 1 month. So I mean, that's focus.
Yeah,
So
it is. I work so slow, and I've been working on about 36 images that I thought I'd have done by spring, and I haven't even got the ink finished. And it's
oh yeah,
yeah. I took a week off to do pencil work, and it took me an entire week to do the pencil work. And so then I'm trying to get one or two inks in a day, and wow, and that's why I just have to turn the television and the internet off. I'll have maybe the radio going, but if the cat's here or anybody else, and my neighbor apparently has a harmonica now, and when the window's open, I just, it's just focus is a difficult thing, but
yeah.
yeah,
Sometimes you just have to block it out. Like if I'm writing, I can put on instrumental stuff and block stuff out via headphones. But if it's art, I can listen to anything, and sometimes I'll just put on headphones, and even if somebody is over, it's like, well, you know what, I've got to get to this, and
yeah,
so it's just like, I'll be back with you in like 2 hours. It's typically my wife that I have to say that to because we're not really social people, so we don't have a whole lot of people over. So, but yeah, and then she has her photography. She does painting as well, and she likes crafts and stuff. So it's always fun to. And when she's doing it, doing her creative stuff, and then when I'm doing it, that's always a fun time because it kind of plays off of each other, even though it's not the same thing. I mean, I may be working on a comic, she may be working on a painting, but that energy um, um, as interactive, and it's always fun to work that way.
Yeah, my wife does music, and she's been doing some digital work, and usually she's just worked traditionally like with a keyboard and a guitar, and she's been doing some digital loops, whatever, and that's kind of different. And she wanted to put some of my artwork with it, and so we've tried to figure out a way we could work together, and it's been kind of difficult, but doing a little bit of maybe a screen image for a recording that she posts, or maybe doing a little bit of a animation if it's a GIF or whatever you call those things, something like that. So we've tried to figure a way to work together, and that's I think inspiration is the biggest help that I've found for focus. If I'm inspired, then I'm motivated.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just feel like I've got to finish this project, and I just have to sit down and get started. But hey, I want to come back to where you were talking about your monster. You because it had started off to be a kid's story and then it went way
Oh yeah.
gruesome. That's something that I'm trying to figure out right now as well because as you know, the September Sons was very adult themed. You know, you have
Uh,
depression, adult relationships, and death, and so on. Um, to publish children's book stories and bedtime stories with the same name, that's something that I'm trying to figure out there because you don't want to go like, hey, here's the little golden books, and then they also published, the big, yeah, because most companies seem to keep that separate. Like even like Dr. Seuss, he had some adult content that he didn't release till after his death. So,
yeah.
he kept it very child focused, even though he created it. And with Saint Mist, we didn't want there to be censorship. We wanted people to be able to express themselves in any way. But then we think we're going to release children's books, and there are no severed heads, and
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
there's several companies that actually do that. The first one that comes to mind is a company called MBM. They do a lot of European stuff. They do like erotica stuff and everything. But then they have another imprint called Paper Cuts, and it's a kids imprint. And so that's kind of the way they did that, I guess. But I guess you could put a blaring thing across the front that says "not for kids." I
yeah,
mean, like some skull and crossbones and XXX or something.
yeah. I think what I'll do is just create something like Tad Tales, and it'll be a production of Saint Mist or something like that, and
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
then,
yeah. Because Sigma's definitely not for kids.
yeah, there's
Definitely.
not. I don't think many
Or
kids.
September
No,
settings.
no, yeah.
September Suns.
There are some children's stories in the work. Fred has several children's stories that should come out in addition to or stand alone with December Days, whatever's working next. That's a pretty cool skeleton. Was it like a flying? You got like
Oh, it's something I picked up in Mexico. Um, it is actually it's a wooden skull thing. Kind of hard to see.
that's pretty cool, and that's your
Yeah.
studio. Yeah, you're in your studio area there. So
No, I don't have a studio, believe it or not. I use the kitchen table, the couch, the back table. This is actually just the room. I have so much artwork, I don't even know what to do with it anymore. So I've adorned all of our walls with mine and my wife's artwork
that's cool.
and friends stuff.
Yeah,
So
I have a lot of artwork from like the early 2001 when I had not much money and not much space, and I worked a lot. So I took like a chunk of money and bought just quarts and gallons of acrylic, and then
yeah,
I would have people over to paint, and it's like cheap paint. It's not the best pigments and all this, but I have these in a box since I used to have some of them up, but moving around they've ended up in a box. But once in a while I'll pull them out anyway, and it's people that probably forgot they even did this. They just came over one
yeah,
day and I had paints out, so they painted something, and it's really cool because people I haven't seen in 20 years probably, or nearly that long, and I've got a little piece of their art in there, and there's good memories of that kind of thing.
oh yeah. Any piece of art that has been given to me, I still have. I've never gotten rid of it. So I have 30 something, 35 years worth of art from friends and family and everything like that. Little books that or things that were made, little comics, everything. I don't know. I think that's one of those genuine things that you can get from somebody is a piece of their art because it may have cost them a little bit of money. Chances are not much, but it's the amount of time and the fact that they thought of you to go ahead and do that.
Yeah,
I think that's awesome. I mean, that to me, that's just so cool.
it
I
really
mean, to be
is.
able to get something like
And
that.
the amount of life that goes into a simple piece, even if it's something they created in a day, there's a lot of history behind that. So that, like the work that I see you do, I know that there's a lot of history coming up to that experimentation, thoughts, emotions, whatever that went into whatever got you to sit down and actually paint something at the moment. So
Yeah,
yeah, there's a lot to, and I can see some of the work on the wall there. Could you show me some of the pictures you have on your wall? Because I
yeah. Let's see. There's her. I got into this little red wide riding hood phase for some reason. I'm not too sure why. These were gifts from my stepdaughter. I like
cool.
Avengers, but these were kind of like pours that we did.
Yeah.
See, there's another. It's kind of hard to see, but another little red riding hood thing
Oh yeah.
that I like. Um, see, pop culture. Um, and so yeah, just I've just got a little bit of everything. This is I was actually a bus driver for a little while, and this photograph was from one of the kids on the bus, and
That's really
it was
cool.
really really cool that she actually bothered to give her bus driver some of that. I've got a massive black velvet because black velvet paintings are just super cool. This
And
is one
this
of my favorites right
this
here.
picture right here, that for some reason I think is like a signature piece of yours. When I think of your name, like I don't know why that image comes to mind so often with the big red burning looking exploding head coming off the back. So
Yeah, it's
yeah.
actually one of my favorite paintings I've ever done. So there's that, and then there's a little bit more of my funner stuff
Your
where I
nature
like to,
scenes, yeah, the nature scenes and the trees that you've
yeah.
done are some of the best. Yeah.
Oh, see, and there's another Red Riding Hood. I don't know what it is, so yeah, I just get a little obsessed with some of that stuff every now and then. So
Oh, my wife's
yeah,
here. She says it's like I'm obsessed with cats. It's not so much. Oh, she says it's okay. I'm obsessed with cats. Not so much that I'm obsessed. It's just they're everyone loves cats, but they were
yeah,
so much a part of what we got started doing with Sync Mist. I mean, I was already drawing cats, but then Fred wrote like a whole book on Facebook that had cats involved.
yeah.
So
I don't know if what I see is a product of that or if it's new, but yeah, he does a lot of stuff. Like yeah, I see that the conversations and everything they're awesome.
yeah, yeah, and they have so much personality. Even just the animal, they've been a part of human history forever. So yeah, people love
Yeah,
cats. But Little Red Riding Hood is a part of culture as well, and that story has played into a lot of different themes. With the innocent girl or the victorious, whatever she's become now, the mysterious adventurer, and
yeah.
so yeah, yeah, it's
This
kind
one
of
was actually I know when it happened. There was a band called Varg. They did a thing. It's a German band. They did a song about Little Red Riding Hood, and she comes out pretty innocently. Then it's a bunch of hunters and everything like that who and she ends up slaughtering them brutally during the song, and I was just like, wow, that's pretty crazy. I mean, I was just like watching it. I'm like going, wow. Yeah, those three paintings came from that. I think it has a little bit more of a. I did mine a little bit more mysterious than what she came across
sure.
because yeah. So, but yeah, it's all fine.
I was just
Whatever inspiration you can find.
Yeah, I was just revisiting Green Jellos.
Oh,
Yeah, for whatever reason, I got on a like a crappy punk rock kick when I was doodling the other day. So Green Jello albums, and that was the claymation was always really fun with some of the early stuff.
yeah,
So yeah, Little Red Riding Hood there. The actually the Three Pigs. There's a Three Pigs, no Little Red Riding Hood, but I guess that's has nothing to do with it, so I don't know why that came to mind. But that's
Inspiration and
Yeah,
just random things, man. You can just find one thing. I mean, it could be just a rock that you just accidentally kicked and it goes over to a part of a sidewalk, and in that sidewalk you see the way that it goes, and it's like, oh, that looks kind of like a horizon line. That could be a planet, and this could be the rock could be like an asteroid coming in. And if you actually draw that down and work it out, just a complete random moment that would pass by almost everybody else, you just turned into a piece of art. So, I mean, you can find inspiration everywhere.
yeah. Well, thanks for saving my wandering trail there. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Thanks for spending so much time with me. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video and we can chat here for a minute. But I'm running here at 40 minutes, so I'm taking up
Wow. Okay.
yeah a
Yeah.
decent amount of your time. So thank you for joining us for that artist interview with Stephen Heger. Excuse my lack of sleep and concentration, but it's not about me. Stephen is a great talent and has a wealth of information about comics and artists. So if you have a question or looking for a specific graphic novel or a suggestion on something that's just fun and spoofy, contact Stephen. A link to his comic book store, Cosmic Monkey Comics, is in the description, as well as a way to find his books that he's written. And if you get a chance to see any of his art, his watercolor is fascinating. Some of the artist gatherings that he has done is really inspiring as well. Hopefully we'll meet with Stephen again, and it would be nice to meet with him regularly on any updates or insights to the comic book industry. Until we meet again, keep having fun and have a great day.